It's the Jim and Terry Show coming to you from the Hobbit Hole studio in Bobcaygeon from the basement with a stale cup of coffee. Jim, where are you? I need a fresh pot. We're talking again about things that have transpired because Jim and I were not able to get together. And so these are some topics that we will undoubtedly cover again and again because they are significant. We live in strange times, and as a history buff, a retired history teacher, and a Canadian, there are a lot of things that I want to pay attention to. And some of them have to do with Ukraine and the world as it unfolded after World War II, what we would have called the global economic interchangeability, where we became interactive and saw the value of trading globally, of outsourcing some products, of specializing production in other things, trading what we had a lot of and what we did well for things that we didn't have a lot of and didn't do quite well, exchanging expertise, whether that's in agriculture or in technology, in natural resources, for finished goods and services. Well, I'd hoped that Canada had become more than the hewers of wood and drawers of water. If you remember that from your grade public school, probably grade 7 curriculum, which was geography and history, when we talked about Canada and its exploration by the coureurs de bois, the explorers of the wood, the carriers of the forest, the explorers for fur trading that opened up Canada through the rivers and lakes and muskegs in the Gordon Lightfoot Railroad trilogy sort of way. I'd hoped that we'd become expertise-based, not service industry as in call centers, which some other countries have become specialized in because of either population, surplus of labor, and cheap wages. But in Canada, to compete with the United States, we've had to sort of be on par with a lot of their technology and exchanging goods and services of similar quality and quantities. We developed an interdependence with the United States, and especially in the auto trade industry. So Canada is pretty intricately, inextricably maybe, trading with the United States. But is that all for a foregone conclusion now? Have we decided that this uncertainty from the previous podcast, the uncertainty of on-again, off-again tariffs, a great trade agreement torn up without the due process being followed, just one partner deciding to tear it all up? That's bad faith bargaining, and really that explains a lot when you think of Donald Trump. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I've been saying it since 2015. You don't want this guy. I'll give him a chance. No, you don't, because it's going to get worse. And Trump 2.0. Well, Trump 1.0, we thought he would never leave the Oval Office. I expected his fingernails and him to be dragged out with his fingernails dug into the carpets or the doorpost. Nah, he's not going to go. Even when he left, I wasn't sure that he was entirely going, and he didn't actually leave. He maintained that he was still the president, just operating from Mar-a-Lago, which is why he put boxes of documents, top secret documents, nuclear codes in Mar-a-Lago, in the basement, in the flooded washrooms, in the pool storage areas. I'm not sure what part of that did not register with people that this guy is unreliable, unstable, and we don't want him back. But Americans did what they did. I have a little suspicion about the 7 swing states all going for Trump in 2024, and that Musk knew ahead of time the results were in the bag. Little nagging doubt. I can't prove it, can't say it's so, and so it remains in a conspiracy sort of framework. But I think there will be books written about 2024 and meddling. Russia, are you listening? I think they were still there, but I can't say it. I don't have evidence, so I'm just saying it's unusual. The results are unusual. The polling data before the election was unusual. The results more so. But it is what it is. And now we have Trump in the White House, unstable. What do they say? I think my good friend Jim quoted a Bible verse. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. He's not the stable genius. And so we have these trade wars, changing things up in the world order. Now Canada has a chance to break free of the United States. Can we do it? Pipelines are easy to build north and south. Difficult. You can't build them across oceans, but you can use tankers, I guess. Are we looking for new trade alliances, east and west, across the Atlantic, across the Pacific, no longer across the prairies or under through mountains and mountain passes? North and south is the natural direction to run pipelines, and I hear Trump wants to rebuild the Keystone Pipeline, and that's going to be interesting. Now, speaking of things that Trump is doing to destabilize everything and everyone, let's ignore Canada for a second and just say, well, some provinces are still kowtowing to Trump, and you expect them to be in the West, and they are. They're not part of Team Canada very much, and that is evident in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Team Canada seems to be everybody else. And another indication of Team Canada would be those people who are voting for policies that benefit everybody else in Canada, and some provinces are choosing not to do anything. The policy that I'm thinking of right now is the child care. 11 provinces and territories have signed. 2 remain unsigned. Can you guess which provinces? If you guessed Alberta and Saskatchewan, you are right. Everybody else seems to be on board with things that'll help people get more out of life in Canada. The child care policy, the dental care policy, pharmacare, these things are to benefit every Canadian, no matter where you live. But provinces have to sign on. The offer is extended. Who is going to sign on? Well, it seems that Danielle Smith and Scott Moe have really got some issues with the federal government. Not likely to sign on. But they will do their thing. They might do a little bit of negotiating. They cannot do international trade agreements. That's a federal responsibility. So it's really up to whoever becomes Prime Minister after Prime Minister Trudeau is no longer the Prime Minister, to carry on the negotiations, the tough ones. But premiers like Ford in Ontario seem to be really towing the hard line against the United States. Tariffs on electricity, pulling off the Jack Daniels off the shelves. That kind of stuff is really playing hardball. It's looking good. And Premier Eby from British Columbia, another hard-talking premier in Ontario. So it looks like Team Canada is bracing themselves for the long haul. It looks good for Canada. And if you haven't seen the reissuing of the "My name is Joe and I am Canadian" ads, kind of tugs at your heartstrings. In terms of things that Trump is shaking up, there is the international stuff, and I'll focus for the rest of this podcast, the next minute or so, on Ukraine, because Ukraine under Biden was being supported with weapons, well, not completely supported. I retract that remark, because there was a holdup. Trump held up some stuff. Biden held up some stuff, and I couldn't for the life of me understand why. Why would you not give Ukraine the things that it needs to defend itself? But Biden did not control the Congress or the Senate, so the negotiations were left to the majority, and that was not in the Democratic hand. But still, there were enough Republicans who supported containing Russia. Where did that support go? And so I'm wondering why the about face on the United States towards Ukraine, from arming them, equipping them, giving them what they need to combat Russia, to bring this war to its conclusion. Of course, we all know the war could end today, tomorrow, anytime, if Russia just decided to, well, as I said in one of my songs on SoundCloud, stay the F out of Ukraine. Vladimir has gone insane. Check it up on SoundCloud. I'll put a link in the description. Yeah, I've been saying that since 2022. So why the about face? Why is United States supporting Russia at this point? They have withdrawn the intelligence, and I think that might be Starlink related, so Musk is in there somehow. And that's handcuffing Ukraine's ability to defend themselves. To compensate for that, just like Canada negotiating transatlantic trade deals instead of with the United States, because you don't want to deal with an unreliable trading partner. You look for reliable partners. So the UK, Germany, France have all made significant speeches ever since a week ago, was it? Was it just a week ago when he had Zelensky in the Oval Office and berated him? And that looked like an ambush. And Jim and I will probably talk about that a little later on. But for now, the ambush has led to some really significant inputs from Germany, France, from the UK, all of whom had conferences with Zelensky following the Oval Office debacle. And it looks like the EU and NATO, without the US, is getting ready, positioning boots on the ground, planes in the air. Everything's on the table. All of this to compensate for the lack of support by the US. Strange times we live in. And I never thought I would ever see the day the United States would be an ally with Russia and Putin. Maybe Jim had hoped, as Reagan once said, that maybe if there was an invasion from outer space, people on Earth might finally appreciate one another. Well, I don't know about aliens, but it's certainly taken Donald Trump to throw a monkey wrench into the works, and we'll see where it all falls out. Stay tuned. Ukraine, I hope you've got some compensating strategies for the lack of United States intel. Lack of intelligence? Yeah, some of us have fallen victim to the lack of intelligence. Donald Trump, are you listening? Jim and Terry Show, signing off. Bye-bye for now.